Hi, all. I just want to discuss today about the rules and norms of this whole American establishment that a lot of us young people struggle with and have a tough time following. And it's a frustrating thing where we're expected to do all these things and play by the rules with jobs and college and careers and all these life rules that we're expected to, and it's a frustrating thing, all these expectations. So I just want to discuss that and rant about it a little bit. I normally talk about political issues and current issues going on in this country right now that is very frustrating, with government corruption and corruption of corporate America, the elites and the big corporations that are screwing us over. And that affects our lives significantly. And so I'm going to just talk about more the norms that come out of it and societal expectations that I'm frustrated with. So it's just frustrating. This has put a lot of pressure on us young adults, things we need to do in life and how we need to have it together by the time we're in our early to mid 20s with a career going and all these stupid careers and degrees and stuff. And it's just getting me angry. So I want to talk about it. What gets me mad is from the time you graduate high school, which is already a big challenge, at least it was for me, because I'm a slow learner and a lot of these pointless classes I was forced to take were hard and meaningless too, by the way. So it was hard to get through high school and do well in all these stupid academic classes. And it's frustrating because by the time we do graduate through high school, after playing by the rules for all them years, being forced to go get a whole education, then there's nothing but expectations forced on us by this American establishment and all the old people that promote it, unfortunately. The first one is that you're supposed to go to college right away or some kind of post secondary education for vocational training and get a job and get a career started. That's like the first expectation, regardless of what you really want to do, even if you're not sure what you want yet to do yet. It seems like we're all just expected to just go to school automatically of some sort, some kind of post secondary school, if not college. And it's very frustrating that they put this on us because how I feel is that it when you graduate from high school, you're free for the first time in your life in a way. And that's a good time to be able to explore if you're able to and think about what you really want in life, what you want your purpose to be in life, how to live a meaningful life, and what kind of career you actually want that'll provide the income and happiness for it, and not what everyone else thinks you should do with their cookie cutter career ideas that everyone else goes through. And it's frustrating when there's so much pressure from everyone on how we got to do what everyone else does. And a lot of people can't afford school or college after high school. It's very unaffordable for most of us. And without student loans, a lot of us wouldn't go to college. And then they still say, the old people, the boomers, and all the people telling us what to do say a college education is still worth it. And that is a scam. It is not worth it. It might be a little bit for some people, but not to the extent that the establishment and our communist government says that it is. It's over exaggerated. There are so many other ways to learn. I don't know why everyone supports formal education so strongly and thinks that everyone needs to be in it. I mean, it's so unaffordable, and the best solution all these old people can say, the older generations and all the people controlling us and trying to pressure us to go say, is that you just need to work a bunch of minimum wage jobs endlessly while you're in college to pay for it without getting student loans. And that is frustrating because it's super challenging for me at least, and for a lot of people, to do well in college and get good grades, and it takes time to do well in classes and study and stuff. And then they still expect us to work several hours a week in minimum wage jobs and not have a work life school balance. It's just work, 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 study, study, study. And what do you get out of it? I mean, a lot of times you still can't pay for college with it, with how expensive everything is, and you barely can keep up with expenses. And then when you get out of college, you're expected to go get a professional position right away in your career field. And a lot of times it's super hard to find a position in your career field from what you studied in college. So that makes it a waste. And then you might get a position in a related career, but it could end up being a job that you hate and a job that barely pays a living wage and where you work very hard, several hours a week, and it barely pays your living expenses. Take a look at how expensive everything is right now. Gas, housing, everything. So it's just so hard to keep up with inflation, which is caused by corporate greed and government corruption, by the way. And you're expected to have it all together, it seems like, when you're in your 20s. And it's ridiculous how everything is so fast paced, and this whole establishment has accepted and is trying to force us into it and shove it down our throats. And it's not okay. And it really needs to stop. I mean, you really want to be stuck in a job you hate without a work-life balance that's meaningless until retirement, and you still won't own a house for several years because everything's expensive and the wages won't keep up with inflation in a lot of scenarios, and not being able to take vacations and do fun things until you're retired, and you won't be in your prime years anymore, might not even be in good health. And by the way, when we talk about having a meaningful life, most of these professional positions that require college degrees aren't even that meaningful. A lot of them are working in evil corporations in corporate America or in industries related to what they do that are in industries that have a negative impact on society. And I have a kind of 5 groups of big corporations that in certain industries that I think are evil. I'm going to start with big oil. That's the oil industry. They control us by polluting our air and our water, contaminating our natural world, which makes a lot of us sick if we live in them communities that they pollute. And they also screw us over completely by making us totally dependent on oil for everything we do, like for fuel, to drive cars, for transportation, and for heating. And they can gouge up the prices however much they want because they got total control. So they're just screwing us over completely. Then you got big ag. Those are the big ag and chemical companies that manufacture pesticides and chemical fertilizers to sell to farmers that get sprayed on crops and then poisons our food supply. And then that makes us ill in return with all these chronic diseases. And we're a very sick country. And a lot of that's why. And then you got the big pharma, I call them, which is a pharmaceutical industry. And they sell us a bunch of unaffordable, very expensive drugs to try and treat these preventable chronic diseases that don't even really treat them. They supposedly treat these diseases, but they can't even find a cure for a lot of these illnesses. So they're just making a bunch of profits off of us, even though the results are terrible. And it's all interconnected, how these industries just profit off of each other and all this corruption. And then you got big tech, which is the big tech companies that censor us and are using AI to control us, and then take a bunch of more professional college degree required positions away with the AI and stuff. So they're just controlling us even more and screwing us over in that way. And then the fifth one is big finance, which is insurance companies that screw us over, the health insurance companies, auto insurance companies. Then we have the government banks that are all in cahoots with the government. They give out bad loans, even though a lot of them are immoral things to do. If someone truly shouldn't get a loan for like an expensive car they truly can't afford, the bank might give them the loan anyways because they know they'll profit from it, even though it'll drain that person's finances, and they'd be better off getting a cheaper car. So, and then you got the credit card companies that just make money off of charging large amounts of interest rates. They're just loan sharks is all they are. So all these industries, big ag, big oil, big tech, big finance, big pharma, they're all interconnected and they're all screwing us over. And it's like they're all in cahoots with our government and the regulators. And that's where a lot of these professional college degree jobs are working in these industries, or it's related to them industries somehow. So it's meaningless, a lot of these jobs, but that's what they want. They want to have servants and slaves to work for them so they can continue to control this country and control us at all costs. And basically, there's a lot of things in the education system that it seems like is trying to brainwash us into accepting that and playing by the rules to keep this corrupt system going. And they don't want anyone to dissent against it or even be creative and think of other ways to make money, which is terrible. I mean, it's frustrating that morals and financial independence and finding meaning and purpose in life isn't stressed more in school. Instead of all these stupid academics in high school, maybe more financial independence, personal finance classes about budgeting and investing, and it's just about finding meaning and purpose in life, and discussions about that should be stressed more in the school system instead of trying to brainwash us. So it's a very frustrating thing, and it's terrible that we're brainwashed into trying to do something that isn't going to benefit us. It'll just benefit the corporate elites when we can barely keep up with expenses and get ahead. And if you're lucky, you will be able to finally retire after 40 some years in a job you hated when you're old, and then you'll have limited time left in your life to enjoy trips and vacations and do fun things. If your health is good, luckily you might have a few years. Then if you have long-term care expenses at the end of your life, like nursing home or big medical expenses, then a lot of your savings will just go to that. The government will take a lot of your savings to pay for them expenses after you pass on, instead of letting your inheritance go to your kids, or maybe you would have had a charitable organization that you wanted to donate money to that supported a cause you believed in. So you could have left a legacy, but then a lot of that money can be stripped away from the government if you do have long-term care expenses that are high in the later years. So, I mean, it just seems like the whole thing's a scam for the elites to and the corporations and the government to get ahead. And it makes me so angry that the older generation and all the people that want to tell us what to do are brainwashed into thinking that that's okay. And I just don't know why they can't wake up. But we do need to wake up. We shouldn't blindly accept this anymore, that this is the way it is, and that living a meaningless, pointless life, miserable life, is not worth it. We need to tear down these American societal expectations, careers, and we just need to chill out and think things over. So what you need to do is think about what you want your quality of life to be like. And that's different for many of us. I mean, you have to figure out like where you want to live, what kind of housing you want. You want to rent or own, and you know, like, you want luxury housing. Are you okay with just a basic 2-bedroom house, or what are your needs and wants? And what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Like, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? And then, as for having a purpose, figure out what your meaning in life is. Like, to live a meaningful life, maybe there are certain community contributions you want to make to give back to your community. You might want to volunteer, donate money to, or maybe donate to certain charitable organizations to support humanitarian issues that you believe need to be addressed. And that can all be part of the legacy you leave in making the world a better place when you pass on. And you want to be able to do all of that while being able to live a happy life and not being miserable in a career that you hate. And you just need to figure that out. You need to figure out how much income and wealth do you really need for living a meaningful, happy life. It just depends upon what your needs and wants are. And I'm currently going through that process myself still. It's taken me a while to kind of figure it out, but I'm just still trying to think about it, what I want and what I need and how to achieve that. And financial independence is a super important goal to be able to live the way you want and have a meaningful life. And you want to be able to reach financial independence. That's what my goal kind of is, without having to work in a job that we hate or go to more years of school when we don't want to. And being able to be more creative and finding a way to earn income and build wealth. And this could mean creating businesses and selling your services, or just simple products on a small scale to earn income, and that can always be scalable into something bigger. Any of these hustles to earn an income. And then budgeting is very important, and saving, and then investing any extra money that you can come up with. If you can invest in certain ways, or there's different ways to invest, and that's a complex issue too. Finding ways to manage your money to achieve financial independence so you can live a happy life, which is challenging. So it's just got to think through all of that. And my message for you is to just relax and think all that over. Think about what you want in life and what you want your purpose to be, and just figure out what you can do to achieve that without playing by the rules. Try and have a beat the system mentality, to be creative and think of ways to beat the system and don't play by the rules. That's what it takes. And just be willing to do that and think things over and figure out what you really want and need to be able to do that. Thanks for listening to my rant here, and add in the comments any points you'd like to add to this, or any questions you have, or any other topics related to this that you'd like me to discuss in the future. Thanks. Take care.